You stayed late again last night. You picked up the project nobody else wanted. Again. You delivered early, under budget, with fewer errors than anyone expected. And your manager smiled, said great work, and moved on to the next fire without mentioning anything about your future. Meanwhile, the colleague who leaves at 5, delegates everything they can, and spends half their meetings building relationships upward just got the promotion you have been waiting 3 years for. That is not a coincidence. That is not your manager being unfair. That is a system that does not promote based on who works hardest and never has. There are 5 specific reasons why hard work keeps you stuck instead of moving you forward. And the last one is the reason your manager keeps telling you how valuable you are while promoting someone else. Here is what actually decides who gets promoted, and it is not what the employee handbook says. Promotion decisions are not made by comparing performance scores and selecting the highest one. They are made by managers running a quiet calculation about who can be moved with the least disruption to their own stability. The question is not who deserves this, and the question is who can I move without my numbers dropping. That means the person who carries the heaviest load is structurally the hardest to move, and the system reads that as a reason to keep them exactly where they are. 5 signs that your hard work is trapping you instead of advancing you, counting down from 5. Sign number 5, you stopped asking for what you want. At some point, you stopped bringing up the promotion in your one-on-ones. You stopped asking about the timeline. You stopped naming your ambition out loud because it started feeling awkward, like asking was admitting that the work was not speaking for itself. Here is the problem with that instinct, and the institution reads silence as satisfaction. If you are not asking, the system assumes you are content where you are, and it allocates attention and advocacy to whoever is actively requesting it. This looks like the one-on-one where you talk about project updates instead of career trajectory, honey, every single time. The tactical takeaway, he put the promotion conversation on the agenda for your next one-on-one in writing before the meeting starts so it cannot be skipped or deprioritized. Sign number 4, you solve problems nobody asked you to solve. You see a broken process and you fix it. You notice a gap in the workflow, you fill it. You spot a risk before it becomes a crisis. You absorb it quietly before anyone above your manager even knows it existed. Every single one of those actions is genuinely excellent work, and every single one of them trains the organization to assign you more load at the same level rather than move you to a higher one. This looks like the week you rebuilt the reporting template, trained 2 new hires, and caught a billing error before it reached the client, and your manager's only response was to give you another project because you clearly have capacity. The takeaway, stop fixing things invisibly and start documenting the problem before you solve it so the institution has to acknowledge the fix rather than absorb it silently. The reward for hard work is more hard work. Sign number 3, your manager calls you reliable. This is the one that hurts because it sounds like a compliment. Reliable is one of the most dangerous words in corporate language because it means something very specific to the person saying it that is completely different from what it means to the person hearing it. When you hear reliable, you hear valued and respected. When your manager says reliable, they mean predictable. Low risk, low maintenance, unlikely to leave, and safe to keep in the current role because the output will continue at the same level without any additional investment. Reliable means your manager has stopped thinking about you as a candidate for the next level and started thinking about you as infrastructure at the current one. This looks like the performance review where every comment is positive, every rating is strong, and the word promotion appears nowhere in the document, replaced entirely by phrases like continued strong performance and valued contributor. The takeaway, if your manager describes you as reliable, ask them directly whether that means they see you as a candidate for the next level or as a long-term fit in the current one. The answer will tell you everything about your structural position, and most people never ask the question. Sign number 2, your title has not changed in 2 years. 2 years in the same title while your responsibilities have expanded significantly is not stability. It is a structural trap with a specific name. It is called title compression, where the work you actually do outgrows the title you hold, but the institution has no incentive to close the gap because you are already doing the higher level work at the lower level price. From the organization's perspective, you are the best deal on the team, senior level output at mid-level cost, and promoting you eliminates the discount. This looks like the moment you realize the new hire in the same role is being paid 15% more than you because the market rate moved and your salary was anchored to the rate from 2 years ago when you were still grateful for the opportunity. The takeaway, if your title has not changed in 2 years but your scope has, document the expanded responsibilities in writing. Present them as a role redefinition conversation, not a complaint, and ask for the title and compensation to be aligned to the work you are actually delivering. But none of these compare to sign number 1, and this is the one most hard workers never see coming. because it looks like a compliment when it is happening. Your manager already knows, they just have no incentive to fix it. Sign number one, you trained your own replacement without knowing it. Your manager asked you to cross train a colleague on your key processes. They framed it as team resilience, making sure someone could cover for you during leave or busy periods. You agreed because you are professional and because refusing would look territorial. What you did not realize is that the cross training was not about resilience, it was about reducing the structural cost of replacing you. Before the cross training, promoting you or letting you leave would have created a gap the manager could not fill. After the cross training, that gap has a name and a person already doing the work at a lower level. This is the sign that hurts most because it means your own competence and professionalism were used as the tools to reduce your structural importance. You did not lose your leverage through poor performance. You gave it away through excellent mentorship because nobody told you what the cross training was actually for. This looks like the moment 6 months after the cross training when the colleague you trained gets the project assignment that would have been yours and your manager says it is good for their development. The takeaway is not to refuse cross training, and that creates its own problems. The takeaway is to cross train to the level of backup for routine situations, never to the level of full replacement for complex ones. And to make sure that every cross training session is documented as your initiative, your intellectual contribution, and your leadership, because if the training is going to reduce your structural essentiality, it needs to simultaneously build your visible track record as someone who develops others, which is a promotion level skill. Here's the honest closing. The system does not promote the person who works hardest. It promotes the person whose absence from their current role creates the least disruption for the people making the decision. That is not a cynical statement. That is the operational logic behind nearly every promotion you have ever been confused by. Your work was never the problem. Your work has always been excellent. That is precisely why the system wants to keep you where you are. The 5 signs are not evidence that you are failing. They are evidence that you are succeeding in a direction that serves the institution while costing you your advancement. Stop working harder in the same direction. Start working strategically in the direction that changes your structural position. Document before you fix. Name the second role. Cross-train to backup, not replacement. And put the promotion conversation on the record before every one-on-one, not after it. Because the person who got promoted instead of you did not outwork you, they outpositioned you, and that is a learnable skill. The hard work was never wasted. It built real competence that travels with you regardless of what this institution decides to do with it. The only thing that needs to change is making sure the system cannot keep benefiting from that competence without paying for it at the level it deserves. Your boss did not reward your hard work with a promotion because promoting you would cost them the one thing they value more than your output, their own stability. Knowing that changes what you do next, and I break that down in the next video.